Hello, hello, lovely audience. I'm here to chat with you about mining. And yes, I'm driving, but I've got a hands-free setup, and I will not be staring you in the face very much while I drive. Why multitask? Because frankly, just too many projects are cropping up right now, popping into my life space for me to be able to do dedicated live streams all the time. So first off, apologies for that. Appreciate the first, second, third comments and all the other live commenters coming in. And yes, thank you, Greg, for mentioning that. I am still alive. Thank you. So there aren't many of us. There aren't many of us who are in the crypto commentary space who've been on Facebook or on YouTube or even on Discord, running active communities and being a part of fomenting an environment in which we can talk about this sort of thing. It's not as popular as it was even a month ago. Certainly not as popular. This is not a four-way stop, lady. Oh my gosh. Good grief. People. That's why I keep the eyes on the road. It's not as popular as it was, right? And certainly during the bull run, a lot of, we'll just say, mistakes were made. Mistakes were made in terms of, I couldn't read a comment that came in, but it said something about driving. By all means, if you want to comment at me, that's fine, but just know that I'm not going to be reading most of your comments because that would be unsafe. Speaking while I drive, perfectly safe and perfectly legal, but responding to comments, very unlikely and very unsafe. So let me just talk at you for a minute here, and when I stop, we'll be able to chat a little more interactively. I apologize, I prefer to interact with the community as we do these live streams, but let me just briefly give a snapshot. In case you've been under a rock, in case you've been sleeping under a rock or living under a rock, clearly, crypto has been a little less profitable lately, and crypto mining harder to get profits. First off, guys, also before we continue, let me just thank you for being tuned in and being supportive. Thank you for sharing this live stream on Twitter, on Reddit, and across other social media platforms. You hear me say it a lot. You got to know it's legit. You're the reason I make these videos. Certainly, I don't do them just because it's the best thing to do while I'm driving. I do them for you. So thank you. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for hitting that like button as well. But let's talk a little about the state of crypto. As you know, Bitcoin has been moving largely sideways for a while. And when it dipped below $6,000, basically moved from the $6,300 price point downward, it kind of spelled uncertainty. Just say that. Uncertainty for the rest of the crypto sphere, and including most mineable altcoins that those of us who are into GPU mining would be interested in. We've got a lot of mineable altcoins that we view as promising, right? They might not be as profitable as maybe some of the bigger market cap coins in terms of scaling way up and getting millions of dollars of capex, millions of dollars in investment funds to try to create something that's a big business. But for those of us, with less than a few $1 million, man, sorry, I hate waking up in a world where Jared is not going to go live from the Bit Bunker at Digital Gold. I think the world is worse off for that. So again, my condolences to the Bit Bunker team and to Jared. I do not like seeing mining operations fold. I don't care who's running them. Certainly people who are as upbeat and as contribute such net positive influence on the world, they just don't deserve it. I'm really bummed out about that. But here we are, right? Those of us who have our own private mining interests and are looking at the potential of, trying to figure out the potential of the market moving forward. What do we do? Those of us who've sunk thousands or tens of thousands into GPU mining gear. And as you know, it's not hard to do. You can sink tens of thousands of dollars into mining gear before you even get to a few dozen cards. And right now, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. It's not enough, certainly, to turn a profit that'll impress your significant other. Everyone married in the audience is like, yep, yeah, I feel you there. And it's definitely, in some cases, it's not even enough to cover your operational expenditures, your operational expenses, month over month. So it's tough to be able to justify the expense, the ongoing expense. How do we deal, right? How do we deal with this? First off, if you've been a part of the Mind Your Biz community, I've been very open about recommendations there in that private forum, and specifically in voice chat to people who are kind of part of that inner circle of trust. And I hate to make it weird like that. I know there are a lot of other commentators who just speak very openly about what they think are good projects to mine, because they speak about things that scale, right, to mid-scale or to large scale. What I prefer to talk about are projects that are kind of smaller market cap coins that have the potential to help somebody that only has a few dozen cards, at best, a few dozen cards, and maybe upwards of 100 or a couple hundred cards, to be able to turn a profit and then liquidate as they need to, or if they're comfortable floating the operational expense, just hold on to those coins. Those are projects that I'm interested in talking about, and our community speaks very openly in our voice chats there. This is not me announcing that I'm going to go offline or go underground or anything, not at all. But what I am going to say is, if you're not a part of that community, then you're not going to be able to really get the inside info that we talk about on a regular basis. It's just too high a liability right now. In bear markets, especially as profits start to dwindle, it's too big a risk to publicly talk about projects that have some profit and then have those profits get dumped by large scale mines that can go in, mine for one day, and kind of like soak up the lion's share of the block rewards and then dump. They make it really dangerous for those of us who are small to mid scale. And it makes it a really dangerous game to speak publicly about those coins and projects that could be profitable for us, that then get swooped in on by the bigger fish. So this is me apologizing in advance that I think on my last live stream I said there was a project that I was interested in and that I didn't want to mention publicly, and I didn't mention it publicly. I mentioned it over in Discord, and we had a bunch of people who just, like fair weather friends, just jump in and be like, hey, so what was that project, Seth? Oh, F you, it's not you're not going to talk about it publicly. And it's like, man, we don't know you. There are people that show up every single day in chat, in the voice chat on our Discord, and who are super cool. And we're on a first name basis, and they, like, you know, some of them even know the names of my kids and stuff. And we ask each other about how our lives are going. We're actually trying to have proof of community, but here's the thing, that doesn't always scale so well. You can be on crypto Twitter and you can have 50,000 followers, and that's not the same thing as what we have over in Mind Your Biz. What we've got is something that's kind of turning into a bit of a brotherhood, right? Almost like a fraternal order of small to mid-scale miners. And I dare say we look out for each other. We really try. We really put forth that effort. So I'm very proud of that. That's something that really means something to me. Without getting, you know, mushy. That means something to me, that our community has that. And in times like these, when the profit is starting to really dip, and we have to be very careful about what we talk about publicly, that we've got that going for us. If you're new to the community, introduce yourself. Contribute something of value to the conversation. And I mean, ask relevant questions based on the conversation that we already have going, or just answer questions based on the conversation we already have going. Don't jump in and try to strong arm the rest of the group into talking about your pet project or whatever you happen to be holding a bag of at the time. We're not going to pump your coin. We're not a pump and dump group. That's not what we're about, because that just doesn't work. It doesn't last. And in markets like these, for a miner, no, pumping and dumping, not the best strategy, and certainly not the way to take care of other miners. We're looking forward to 2019, getting through this and understanding what the state of the art is, so that the small to mid-scale miner can, if you have to shut off your rigs right now, you can flip that switch right back on, hit the ground running, and not skip a beat, right? Be right back into the money, and hopefully not be in the red right now in between. That's what we're about. That's what Mind Your Biz is, in my estimation. Well, reading Rainbow, don't take my word for it. Here. Yeah, I appreciate it. So now I can read comments about a stop sign. Yeah. Buy low, sell high. That's the plan. And sarcasm. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, right now, we're also taking some cues from community members who are well-versed and experienced at trading. We're very, very fortunate that that is what our group has going for it. There are people who get that. They know how to read markets. They understand how to forecast, and they're generous enough that they're issuing some public calls, right? They're giving us a couple of cues and calls. So we've got a bit going for us that I think very few other communities do. If you're not involved, get involved, but get involved legitimately. Be genuine, right? Be a real person. And hey, I appreciate you saying that. And guys, the vote of support and solidarity that I'm seeing in the comments is, again, that's not what makes this channel great or me in any way at all. It's what makes our community something worth being a part of. And I really appreciate that. That's what gets me out of bed, so to speak, but showing up at our group every day is that I know when I show up, we're going to have legit conversation with some real, upstanding, genuine dudes, and ladies too. Upstanding, genuine dudes who, bottom line, they just give a crap. So this is awesome. So I'm seeing some comments come in talking about common sense. Don't let fear control you. And these are really great passing comments for sure. What we do in our group is we live this. We help each other to live this by giving actionable advice daily based on market conditions. And I think right now, it's not a paid group. Reynaldo, who'd have to feed grapes to be part of the community? I think we've determined that grapes you have to feed to newbie, but he prefers his grapes crushed and then fermented for a little bit of time. You have to ask him specifically what vintage. But we've got all kinds of really cool people in the community with all kinds of really great skills. Everybody contributes. Everybody pushes weight and pulls their own weight. Again, if I can be accused of anything right now, I hope it's gushing over the people in our community, because they're what makes it awesome to show up to. Yeah, we get some questions that come in, people that'll just sort of like, lazy Google, come into our Discord and just say, hey, settings for this. And it's like, well, the GitHub repo for that project in the top level README file, the top level markdown file for the project already tells you some of that stuff, but we're going to hold your hand a little bit anyway. We get it. There's room for everybody, right? The rank amateur, the brand new beginner, the person that knows literally nothing, level 0, they're just fresh. We're going to make room for you, okay? We're going to make room for you. We very much try to live the motto that we are going to be the mentors that we wish we had when we were rank amateurs, when we were fresh meat, right? Ready to get cooked up, right? Ground up and cooked up by this market. And we're here for you. You figure if we can't explain it in simple enough terms that a newbie can understand it, that a brand new person can understand it, then we probably don't really understand the domain, right? That's one of the things about mastering something as a human. That's how you show mastery, is by being able to teach. And further, being able to mentor. Actually hold hands, give actionable step-by-step advice, and troubleshoot as things go wrong. Guys, we got some great community favorites in the comment section right now. Very briefly, want to give a shout out to our moderator team, and that includes right now Faded and Yankee. We have some other regulars. Reynaldo has, I think, done moderator duties in the past, and we got Newbie, of course, who's functioned as a moderator and is now a free agent in our Discord. Here's the thing, guys. Being a moderator is also a thankless job, and being a mentor is kind of a thankless job. We do this because it keeps us sharp and it helps us to have an edge. If we can explain it simply to you, then clearly we're mastering these principles. Uh-oh. I've revealed my location. You can see the In-N-Out logo in the back. And before somebody gives me grief for going to In-N-Out, just relax, okay? Relax. In-N-Out is fine. Nothing wrong with In-N-Out. You got to know the off menu. Got to know the off menu for how you want your fries done. Vampira says mining is not dead, and I agree to that largely. Mining is not dead. These things move in cycles. These things move in cycles. GPU mining in particular is far from dead. Far from it. Ooh, Yankee, that actually sounds legit. That sounds legit. Man, you almost got me changing my mind here. Yeah, okay, so I'm reading a comment about where to go to lunch. But Nah, I'm just going to double down here. We're going to make this happen. So Newbie's saying that mining is heating his house. We need to think very creatively about how to make mining work for us right now in a down market. If you're not putting on a spreadsheet your profit, your loss, your cost center, and what your profits are, then you need to be calculating it that way. Right now, if you're not calculating what your total energy costs are to heat your home, I mean, it's winter. It's winter. You're paying for heat. If you don't heat your house somehow, like if you're not chopping firewood, even that's costing you something, right? Like it's costing you time. Or if you have to buy a cord of wood from somewhere else because you can't fell a tree near you to chop up wood, then you've got a cost center somewhere to heat your home. So I don't care what anybody says about like, oh, heating your home is not realistic with mining. It's totally realistic with mining. If you have more than 3 rigs, you can heat your home. You can heat the main dwelling areas of your home. And if you're not paying attention to what your costs are to be able to offset the cost of your heat, then you don't really understand how to make that penny squeal, how to make your mining dollar squeal as we kind of near the edge of profitability. Right now, I actually had my son in his room. He's asked me to put mining rigs in his room to keep it a little more warm because he has a finished room in the basement. And I said, hey, listen to these fans. That's going to bother you when you sleep. And he said, no, I'm fine, Dad. I'm good. So, hey, that's his space heater, is a mining rig. Actually, a couple of them. But we can spin down the fan because of the ambient temperatures, right? It's that time of year. Ambient temperatures being in the freezing across a large swaths of North America, we really don't need to be paying for heat. What we need to be doing is calculating what the benefit is of having the miners run to be able to heat the main dwelling areas. You might have to use ducting. You might need to place it in an odd spot. But if you haven't considered this, use a spreadsheet, break everything down, look at what your average cost based on the history of that home is, because even if you just call up the utility, even if you're in a place that you haven't lived for a very long time, if you call up the utility, they're going to give you the full history on that dwelling for many years if you ask for it. Usually upwards of 10, 20 years. If you ask, they should have data, depending on whether you're in an area that's deregulated, whatever else. But call up the utility and ask them, what are the typical prices for this dwelling this season, this time of year? What does it cost to heat this house or heat this apartment or this condo or whatever it is you live in? They should tell you. You now have a baseline from which to sort of calculate what's going towards the furnace and heating the main dwelling, the air, and what's going towards water to heat your water, right? If you want to get extra fancy, you can try to create a water heating system. I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky for you to try to, at this point, jury rig something that will heat water in line for you using the heat from your mining rigs. That's going to be a little more fancy, be a bit of a science project, but I'm sure that if you're determined, you could probably find a way to do it. And if you're not thinking that way right now, I really want you to try. Just open your mind a little bit to the possibilities of what else you can do with your mining rigs and how we can stay profitable moving forward. So guys, I'm going to leave it at that without recommending any single project on this live stream. What I will say is that we do rapid fire in the group. You'll see the link down in the description of this video. Check out the Mine Your Biz Discord and come join us there. I'm starting to get questions about hardware that's been released. Somebody asked about SQRL mining. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with SQRL mining. Wish I had info for you there, but I don't. So if you bought hardware from them, you're going to have to reach out to them and place the customer service burden on them. All right, guys. Check us out over at Mine Your Biz, the Discord server. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for hitting a thumbs up. Thanks for being subscribed, clicking the bell icon so you're notified when we go live. You're the reason I make these videos. I love your face, and I will see you over in Discord.